The ship hit the ground hard. Metal screamed. Fire bloomed in the darkness. Park felt his body slam against the wall, and then everything went black. When he opened his eyes, smoke filled his lungs. He coughed and pulled himself from the broken cockpit. His left arm burned with pain, but he could move it. That was enough. He crawled through the twisted metal and out into the cold air of an unknown moon. The cargo ship was destroyed. Pieces of it lay scattered across the gray rocks like broken toys, stood slowly and looked around. The sky was purple and empty. No stars, no sun, just a dim glow from somewhere beyond the horizon. The air was thin but breathable. He was alive, and that surprised him. He searched the wreckage for hours. He found food packets, water containers, a medical kit, and a small emergency beacon. He did not find his had been in the lower deck when the ship broke apart. He called her name until his throat hurt. No answer came. He hoped she had been thrown clear. He hoped she was alive somewhere on this moon. But hope was a thin thing, and it did not keep him warm. Built a small shelter from ship panels. He ate a little and drank a little. His arm was badly bruised but not broken. He wrapped it tight and tried to sleep. Sleep did not come easy. The silence of this place pressed against him like a heavy blanket. 3 days passed. He explored the area around the crash. The moon was mostly rock and dust, with deep caves cutting into the ground. Strange plants grew in the shadows, pale and thin. He saw no animals, no movement. He was alone. On the 4th day, he heard something. It came from one of the caves, a sound so faint he almost missed it. He stopped walking and listened. There it was again, high and soft, like crying. Moved toward the sound. His heart beat faster. He did not know what made that noise, but something in it pulled at him. It sounded like pain. It sounded like fear. It sounded like a child. The cave entrance was narrow. He squeezed through and followed a path downward. The crying grew louder. His boots scraped against wet stone. The air smelled strange, like flowers and metal mixed together. Then he saw it. A small shuttle lay crashed at the bottom of a wide cavern. It was not human design. The metal was smooth and silver, shaped like a teardrop. Burn marks covered its surface. Someone had shot it down. The crying came from inside. Approach slowly. The shuttle's door hung open, bent and broken. He looked inside, and his breath caught in his throat. A child sat in the corner, but not a human child. Her skin was pale lavender, almost glowing in the dim light. Her hair was white and fell past her shoulders like silk. Her eyes were large and silver, filled with tears. She was small, maybe the size of a 7-year-old human girl. She wore torn clothes that looked expensive, covered in dirt and dried blood. In her tiny hands she held a broken device that sparked and fizzed. She saw him and screamed. The sound was sharp and filled with terror. She pressed herself against the wall, shaking so hard her teeth clicked together. She spoke in a language he did not understand, words tumbling out fast and desperate. Raised his hand slowly, he took a step back. "I will not hurt you," he said softly. He knew she could not understand him, but he hoped his voice would calm her. "I am not going to hurt you." She kept crying. Her silver eyes watched him like he was a monster. Sat down on the ground far from her. He moved slowly, keeping his hands visible. He remembered his little sister years ago when she was scared of thunderstorms. He would sit with her and wait. He would not push. He would just be there. He reached into his bag and pulled out a food packet. He opened it and placed it on the ground between them. Then he took out his water container and set it beside the food. He pointed at them, then at her. "For you," he said quietly, "eat, drink." She did not move. She watched him with wide, frightened eyes. Did not move either. He sat there still and patient. Minutes passed, an hour. The child's crying slowly faded to soft whimpers. Her shaking grew less violent. She was exhausted, he realized, hurt and exhausted and alone. He thought about leaving the food and going. Maybe she would eat if he was not there, but something told him to stay. Something told him she needed to see that he would not attack. She needed to see that he was safe. Night came. The cavern grew darker, did not sleep. He watched over the child, keeping his distance. Sometimes she would close her eyes, then snap them open again in fear. Each time she looked at him. Each time he was still there, unmoving. Near dawn, something changed. The child moved. Slowly, carefully, she crawled toward the food. Her eyes never left his face. Her small hands shook as she reached for the packet. She grabbed it and pulled back quickly, pressing against the wall again. She ate, fast and desperate, like she had not eaten in days. Maybe she had not. Felt a strange pain in his chest watching her. She was so small, so scared. When she finished, she looked at the water. She looked at him. He nodded gently and pushed the container a little closer with his foot. She took it, she drank. After that, she sat very still. Her eyes were heavy. She was fighting sleep, he could tell, fighting it because she did not trust him, because sleeping meant being weak. Lay down on his side, facing away from her. He closed his own eyes. He made himself vulnerable. He showed her that he trusted her not to hurt him. A long time passed. Then he felt it. A small, warm body pressed against his back. Tiny hands gripped his jacket. The child had crawled to him. She was using him for warmth. Did not move. He barely breathed. He felt her shaking slow down. He felt her breathing deepen. She slept. And in that dark cave, on that cold and empty moon, something began. A bond neither of them expected. A connection that would change everything. Stayed awake all night, guarding her. He did not know her name. He did not know her people. He did not know why she was here or who had shot her down. But he knew one thing with perfect certainty. He would not let anyone hurt her. Not again. Not this time. He had failed before. He had lost someone small and precious because he was not strong enough, not fast enough. The memory still burned inside him like a wound that never healed. This child would live. He would make sure of it. Whatever it took. Days turned into weeks. The moon remained cold and silent, but the cave had become something like a home, had moved their shelter deeper inside, away from the wind and the strange purple storms that sometimes swept across the surface. He used metal from both crashed ships to build walls and a roof. It was not pretty, but it was warm. The child watched everything he did. At first she kept her distance. She would sit in her corner and observe him with those large silver eyes. She was curious, realized, scared, yes, but also curious. He began to talk to her while he worked. Simple words, his name, the names of objects. He would point at things and say them slowly. "Water," he said, holding up the container. She tilted her head. "Water," he repeated. On the third day she tried to copy him. Her voice was soft and strange, the sounds not quite right, but she tried. "Water," she said. Smiled. It was the first time he had smiled since the crash. He pointed at himself. She stared at him. He said again. "Duhan," she repeated carefully. He nodded and pointed at her with a questioning look. She understood. She touched her chest with one small hand. "Lyra," she said. Lyra, her name was Lyra. From that day the learning went both ways. She taught him her hand gestures. Her people spoke with their hands as much as their voices, he discovered. A flat palm meant peace. A closed fist near the heart meant fear. 2 fingers touching meant thank you. She touched 2 fingers together many times in those early days. Taught her more words: food, sleep, cold, hot, safe. She learned fast, faster than he expected. She was clever, this little alien girl. He wondered who she was. The clothes she had worn, though ruined now, had looked expensive. The shuttle was advanced. Someone important was missing her. Or someone dangerous was hunting her. He found evidence on the shuttle. Burn patterns from weapon fire. The attack had come from above, from a larger ship. Someone had shot her down on purpose. Someone had tried to kill a child. The thought made his blood burn with anger. He did not tell her what he found. She was too young to carry that weight. Instead, he focused on keeping her alive, keeping her fed, keeping her warm. The moon was not completely empty, he learned. Small creatures lived in the deeper caves. They looked like rats but with 6 legs and no eyes. They were not dangerous, but they were not friendly either. Caught some for food when their supplies ran low. Lyra refused to eat them at first, but hunger won eventually. There were plants too, strange mushrooms that glowed faint blue. Tested them carefully, eating tiny amounts and waiting to see if he got sick. Some were safe, some were not. He marked the safe ones and showed Lyra. She followed him everywhere now. When he went to gather water from the underground stream, she came. When he checked the emergency beacon, she watched over his shoulder. She did not like being alone anymore. Neither did he. At night they slept near each other. Not touching, not at first, but close, close enough to feel warmth, close enough to know the other was there. One night a storm came, not rain or wind but something worse. The ground shook. Strange lights flashed in the sky. Lyra woke up screaming. Held her. He wrapped his arms around her small body and held her tight. She pressed her face against his chest and cried. He did not have words she could understand, so he just held her. He hummed a song his mother used to sing, back on Earth, back when he was small and scared of the dark. Lyra's crying stopped. She listened to him hum. Her grip on his jacket slowly relaxed. When the storm passed, she looked up at him. Her silver eyes were wet with tears. Safe, she said in Korean. The word was rough but clear. Safe, he agreed. 3 weeks in, the creatures attacked. Had seen them before from a distance. Large animals like wolves but wrong, too many legs, too many teeth. Black skin that seemed to drink the light. They lived on the surface and hunted at night. He had been careful. He had blocked the cave entrance with metal sheets. He had made noise to scare them away. It had worked. Until it did not. They came in the middle of the night. 6 of them, maybe more. They broke through his barrier like it was paper. Their screams filled the cave, high and horrible. Grabbed Lyra and pushed her behind him. He had a weapon, a metal rod sharpened to a point. It was not much. It was all he had. The first creature lunged. He drove the rod into its chest. It screamed and fell. Another came from the side. He kicked it back. Another. They were everywhere, all teeth and claws and hunger. Pain exploded in his arm. One had bitten him. He felt blood run hot down his skin. He did not stop fighting. He could not stop. Stay back, he shouted at Lyra. She pressed against the wall, her eyes huge with terror. He killed 3 more before his body gave out. He fell to one knee, gasping. The remaining creatures circled, sensing weakness. Then Lyra screamed. But it was not a scream of fear. It was something else, something powerful. The sound hit the creatures like a physical force. They stumbled, they howled, they fled into the darkness. Silence fell. Collapsed onto his back. His arm was torn open. Blood pooled beneath him. He could feel his strength fading. Small hands touched his wound. He opened his eyes and saw Lyra kneeling beside him. Her face was pale with fear. Her hands shook. No, he tried to say. Save yourself, run. She did not run. Light glowed from her palms. Soft, warm, gentle light. It sank into his wound. The pain eased just a little. The bleeding slowed. She was healing him, or trying to. Her gift was weak, untrained. She could not fix everything, but she did what she could. When the light faded, she fell beside him, exhausted. The effort had drained her completely. Looked at his arm. The wound was still bad, but it would not kill him now. She had saved him. This small child had saved his life. He pulled her close with his good arm. Thank you, he whispered. She pressed 2 fingers together weakly, the gesture for thank you. You saved me first, she said in broken Korean. He laughed. It hurt, but he laughed. Then he cried. He could not remember the last time he had cried. They lay there together until morning. Two survivors on a cold moon far from everything they knew, both broken, both healing, both refusing to give up. Dressed his wound with what remained of the medical kit. It would scar badly. He did not care. He was alive. She was alive. That was enough. In the days that followed, things changed between them. The barrier was gone. She called him by his name now, easily and often. She held his hand when they walked. She slept against his side without hesitation. He was not just a stranger anymore. He was hers. And she was his. When the hunters finally came, they would learn what that meant. The ship came down from the purple sky like a falling knife, black metal, sharp edges, no markings, saw it from the cave entrance and felt ice spread through his chest. He had been watching for rescue, he had hoped for it, but this was not rescue, he knew it in his bones. The ship landed hard on the rocky plain, close to where his cargo vessel had crashed. Figures emerged, tall and fast. They wore armor that seemed to bend the light around them. They carried weapons that glowed with cold energy. There were 6 of them. They moved like soldiers. They searched the wreckage of his ship first, quick and efficient. Then they turned toward the caves. Pulled back from the entrance, his heart hammered. Lyra was inside, sleeping near the fire he had built, safe for now. He moved quickly, quietly. He shook her awake. "Lyra," he whispered, "we have to hide now." Her silver eyes went wide. She understood something was wrong. She did not ask questions. Had prepared for this. He had found a collapsed section of the cave, a narrow gap behind fallen rocks. It was small and dark and hard to reach. He had hidden supplies there, just in case. He carried Lyra to the gap and lowered her inside. "Stay here," he said. "Do not come out, do not make any sound, no matter what you hear." Fear filled her eyes. "You come too." "I cannot." He touched her face gently. "They are looking for you. If I hide with you, they will search until they find us both. But if I lead them away, if I make them follow me, you will be safe." Tears ran down her cheeks. "No, please." "I will come back," he said. "I promise, but you must be brave now. Can you be brave for me?" She grabbed his hand and held it tight. Her whole body shook. "2 fingers," she whispered. "Thank you." He pressed 2 fingers back. Then he placed the rocks over the gap, hiding her from sight. His heart broke as he did it, but there was no other way. He ran. The hunters saw him almost immediately. He burst from the cave entrance and sprinted across the open ground. Behind him, he heard shouts in a language he did not know. Then came the sound of weapons charging. Blue light shot past his head. He ducked and kept running. The moon's surface was rough and broken. Rocks jutted up like teeth. Cracks split the ground. Knew this terrain. He had explored it for weeks. The hunters did not. He led them west toward the deep canyons where the ground was unstable. His lungs burned. His wounded arm screamed with pain. He did not slow down. 2 hunters fell behind. The terrain confused them. Their heavy armor made them slow, but 4 stayed close. Reached the first canyon and jumped. It was a short drop, maybe 3 meters. He landed hard and rolled. Pain shot through his legs, but nothing broke. He kept moving. Above him, the hunters stopped at the edge. They looked down, calculating. Then they jumped after him. "Good, follow me away from her." The canyon twisted and turned, used every trick he knew. He pushed rocks down behind him. He squeezed through gaps too small for their armored bodies. He doubled back and hid in shadows. 1 hunter fell into a crack in the ground. His screams echoed off the walls before going silent. 3 left. Another hunter caught up to near a narrow bridge of stone. The creature was fast, faster than he expected. It grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. Up close he could see its face. It looked like Lyra, but wrong, older, harder. Its eyes were silver but empty of warmth. It spoke words he could not understand, but the meaning was clear. "Where is the child?" Spat in its face. The hunter threw him against the wall. Something cracked in his ribs. He gasped and fell to the ground. The hunter stepped closer, weapon raised. Grabbed a loose rock and swung. It hit the hunter's knee joint where the armor was thin. The creature howled and stumbled, did not hesitate. He tackled the hunter over the edge of the bridge. They fell together. Hit water, cold, shocking, terrible water. An underground river rushed beneath the canyon. It pulled him under. He fought to the surface, gasping. The current dragged him forward. The hunter did not surface. Its heavy armor pulled it down into the dark. Two left. The river carried for a long time. He bounced off rocks. He swallowed water. He fought to keep his head above the surface. Finally, the current slowed. He pulled himself onto a stone ledge and lay there, coughing and shaking. Everything hurt. His ribs, his arm, his legs, his head. He was bleeding from a dozen cuts. He could barely move. But he was alive, and the hunters did not know where he was. He had to get back to Lyra. He had to make sure she was safe. It took him hours to find his way through the caves. He crawled when he could not walk. He walked when he could not run. The pain was constant, but he pushed through it. He thought of her silver eyes, her small hands, her voice saying his name. He would not fail her. When he finally reached the area near their shelter, night had fallen again. The two remaining hunters were there. They had searched the caves. They had found nothing, but they were not leaving. They waited near the entrance, patient and cold. Watched them from the shadows. He was too weak to fight, too hurt to run, but he could not leave Lyra hidden forever. She would run out of water. She would run out of air. He needed help. The emergency beacon. It was still in the shelter, hidden under a loose rock. He had been activating it every day, hoping someone would hear. No one had answered. But maybe, just maybe, someone was listening. He crept closer, silent as smoke. The hunters faced away from him, watching the main cave entrance. He slipped into the shelter through a crack in the back wall. His fingers found the beacon in the dark. He activated it, maximum power, maximum range. He sent out a distress call with everything the little device had. Then he waited. 1 hour, 2. The hunters did not move, stayed hidden, barely breathing. His body screamed for rest, Near dawn, the sky changed. Light appeared above the horizon, not the dim glow of the moon's strange sun, something brighter, something closer. A ship, massive, golden. It descended through the purple sky like a sun being born. The hunters saw it too. They shouted and raised their weapons, but they were not shooting at the ship. They were running. Too late. Beams of white light struck down from the golden ship. The hunters vanished in fire and silence. Watched with wide eyes. He did not understand what was happening. He did not know if this new ship was friend or enemy. Then the golden ship landed. Its doors opened. Soldiers poured out, hundreds of them. They wore white armor with purple marks. They moved with perfect formation. And at their center walked a figure that made his breath stop. She was tall, taller than any human. Her skin was deep purple, her hair white like snow. Her eyes burned silver, ancient and powerful. She wore a crown of light and robes that flowed like water. A queen. He was looking at a queen. She stopped near the cave entrance. Her soldiers spread out, searching. Knew he should hide. He knew he should stay silent. But Lyra was still trapped in that hole, scared, alone, waiting for him to come back. He stepped out of the shadows. Every weapon turned toward him. He raised his hands. His body shook with exhaustion and pain. He could barely stand. "Please," he said. "There is a child in the caves. Her name is Lyra. She is safe. Please do not hurt her." The queen's silver eyes fixed on him. They burned through him, seeing everything, seeing his wounds, his fear, his determination. She spoke. Her voice was like music and thunder combined. And then from behind him, a small voice called out, "Mother!" Lyra emerged from the caves. She ran, not toward the queen, not toward the soldiers. She ran too. She threw her arms around his legs and held him tight. "He is mine," she said in her own language. "Do not hurt him." The queen went still. Every soldier went still. And bleeding and broken and barely alive, stood before the most powerful being he had ever seen, with a child's arms wrapped around him. He had done what he promised. He had kept her safe. Now he would see what came next. Silence fell over the rocky plain like a blanket. The soldiers did not move. The queen did not move. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Lyra clung to his legs with desperate strength. Her small body shook against him. He could feel her fear, but he could also feel something else. Determination. She was protecting him. This tiny alien child was standing between him and an army. The queen took one step forward. Her robes flowed behind her like liquid silver. Her face was unreadable, carved from stone and starlight. Those ancient eyes moved from Lyra to and back again. "Daughter," she said, her voice carried across the distance without effort. "Come to me." Lyra did not move. She pressed her face against his leg. "No," she said. The word hung in the air. Soldiers exchanged glances behind their helmets. The queen's expression flickered with something. Surprise, maybe pain, maybe both. "Lyra," the queen's voice softened just slightly. "You are safe now. The danger has passed. Come to your mother." "He saved me," Lyra said. She spoke in her own language now, fast and desperate. "The bad ones came. They shot my ship. I was scared. I was hurt. He found me. He fed me. He kept me warm. He fought the monsters. He bled for me. You cannot hurt him. You cannot." The queen listened. Her silver eyes moved to again. He stood there, swaying on his feet. He knew he looked terrible. Blood covered his clothes. His arm was wrapped in dirty bandages. His face was pale from exhaustion. But he met her gaze. He did not look away. "What is your name?" the queen asked him. Her voice was cold but not cruel. Did not understand her language, but he understood the question. He had heard it before from Lyra. He said, "Park." The queen tilted her head slightly. You are not of any species I know. What are you?" A soldier stepped forward and handed her a small device. She looked at it, then at him. "Human," she read from the device. "Species unknown in our records. Origin unknown." "Please," said again. His voice cracked. "I do not want trouble. I only wanted to keep her safe. She is just a child." The queen studied him for a long moment. Then she raised one hand. The soldiers lowered their weapons. She walked toward him. Each step was graceful, powerful. She moved like a force of nature, unstoppable and eternal. Wanted to run. He wanted to hide. He stood his ground. She stopped in front of him. This close, he could see details he had missed before. Lines of age around her eyes. A scar on her neck, faded but visible. The weight of centuries in her gaze. "You killed 4 of my enemies," she said. "You, a creature half our size with no weapons, no armor. You killed trained assassins who have murdered kings and generals." Did not know what to say. They were trying to hurt her. Yes, they were. The queen looked down at Lyra, still wrapped around his legs. Something shifted in her face. The stone cracked just a little. "And you stopped them. A stranger, an alien, someone who had no reason to help." "She was alone," said simply. "She was scared. I could not leave her." The queen was silent. Her soldiers waited. The whole moon seemed to wait. Then she did something unexpected. She knelt. The queen of an empire knelt on the rocky ground, bringing her face level with Lyra's. Her robes pooled around her like water. Her crown caught the faint light and scattered it like diamonds. "Little one," she said softly, "look at me." Lyra slowly turned her head. Her silver eyes met her mother's. "I have been searching for you," the queen said. "For 27 days, every ship in my fleet, every soldier in my command. I thought I had lost you. I thought you were dead like your sisters, like your brothers." Tears spilled down Lyra's cheeks. I was scared, Mother. I was so scared. I know. The Queen reached out and touched Lyra's face gently. But you survived. You were brave. He helped me, Lyra whispered. Helped me. He is good. He is kind. The Queen looked at again. He saw something new in her eyes now. Not suspicion, not coldness, something warmer. It seems, she said slowly, that I owe you a debt, Park, a debt greater than you can imagine. I do not want payment, said. I just want her to be safe. The Queen smiled. It was small and sad and beautiful. That is why the debt is great, because you do not ask for it. She rose to her feet. The Stone Queen returned, powerful and commanding, but the warmth remained in her eyes. Soldiers, bring medical supplies. This human requires treatment. She looked at. You will come aboard my ship. Your wounds will be healed. You will rest, and then we will speak properly. Hesitated. He did not know these people. He did not know their ways, but Lyra looked up at him with trust shining in her silver eyes. Please come, she said in broken Korean. Safe, I promise. He nodded slowly. Soldiers approached him carefully. They did not grab him or force him. They offered support when he stumbled. They were gentle. Lyra walked beside him, holding his hand. She did not let go. The inside of the Queen's ship was beyond anything had ever seen. Gold and white metal curved in impossible shapes. Light came from everywhere and nowhere. The air smelled clean and warm like spring morning. They took him to a medical room. Machines hummed and glowed. Doctors in white robes examined his wounds with strange instruments. They did not cut him or use needles. Light passed over his body. His pain faded. His wounds began to close. Lyra stayed with him the entire time. She sat on a chair beside his bed, watching the doctors work. When they tried to make her leave, she refused. When they insisted, she shouted at them in words that made them go pale. Smiled weakly. You are very loud for someone so small. She smiled back. You are very brave for someone so weak. I am not weak. You cannot even lift a rock properly. I lifted many rocks. I threw them at the bad ones. She laughed. The sound was bright and pure. The doctors stopped and stared. Perhaps they had never heard her laugh before. The Queen visited him that night. She came alone, without guards or servants. She wore simpler clothes now, though they still looked more valuable than anything he had ever owned. She sat beside his bed and looked at him for a long time. My daughter has not left your side, she said. My doctors say she threatens them when they try to separate you. She is protective, said. She has a strong heart. Yes, stronger than I knew. The Queen folded her hands in her lap. I have lost 3 children to assassins, 3 heirs, 3 pieces of my soul. When Lyra's ship went dark, I believed I had lost a 4th. I am sorry. Do not be sorry, you gave her back to me. The Queen leaned forward slightly. Tell me something, Park. Why did you save her? Truly, you are a different species. You owe nothing to my empire. You could have hidden from the assassins. You could have let them take her. Why did you risk everything? Thought about the question. He thought about his sister. He thought about the day he lost her. The fire, the screams. His hands reaching for her and finding only smoke. I lost someone once, he said quietly. Someone small, someone I should have protected. I was not fast enough. I was not strong enough. She died and I lived. I have carried that weight every day since. He looked at the Queen. His eyes were wet. When I found Lyra, I saw her. My sister, scared and alone and waiting for someone to help. I could not walk away. I could not fail again, even if it killed me. The Queen was silent for a long time. You carry ghosts, she said finally. So do I. Perhaps that is why my daughter trusts you. She sees the same wounds I see. She stood and looked down at him. Rest now, Park. Tomorrow we will decide what comes next. But know this, you have the gratitude of the throne. That is not a small thing. She left without another word. Closed his eyes. Sleep came fast, warm and deep. Beside him, Lyra curled up in her chair. one hand resting on his arm. For the first time in weeks, neither of them was alone. The great hall of the throne ship stretched before like a golden canyon. Pillars of light rose from the floor to the distant ceiling. Hundreds of stood on both sides, watching. Their eyes followed him as guards led him down the central path. He wore clean clothes now, simple white provided by the ship's servants. His wounds had healed thanks to their strange medicine. He felt strong again, but standing before all these alien faces, he also felt very small. At the end of the hall sat the queen on her throne. It was made of something that looked like frozen starlight. Beside her stood advisors in dark robes, their faces hard with suspicion. Lyra was not there. They had taken her somewhere else. For safety, they said, but suspected they did not want her defending him during this trial. Because that was what this was, a trial. One of the advisors stepped forward. He was old, older than the queen, with deep lines carved into his purple face. His silver eyes held no warmth. "You stand before the High Council of the Empire," he announced. "You will answer our questions truthfully. Lies will be detected and punished. Do you understand?" A device had been attached to his ear. It translated their words into sounds he could understand. It also translated his words for them. Strange technology, useful technology. "I understand," said. The advisor nodded. "State your full name and origin." "Park, I am from Earth, a planet in a system far from here." Murmurs spread through the crowd. The advisor raised his hand for silence. "Earth is not in our records. Your species is unknown to us. How did you come to this region of space?" "I was an engineer on a cargo ship. We were traveling between colonies when something went wrong, a navigation error. We were pulled off course and crashed on the moon." "You were alone?" Thought of his heart ached. "No, I do not know if she survived." The advisor made a note. "You claim you found the princess by accident. Is this true?" "Yes, I heard crying in the caves. I followed the sound. I found her in a crashed shuttle." "And what did you think when you saw her? An alien child. Did you not consider her dangerous? Did you not consider leaving her to die?" The question made his hands tighten into fists. He kept his voice calm. "She was hurt, she was scared, she was a child. I do not leave children to die." "Even alien children?" "All children." The advisor studied him for a long moment. "Noble words, but how do we know you did not have other motives? How do we know you were not working with the assassins? Perhaps you kept her alive to sell her later, to trade her to our enemies." Anger flashed through. "I killed 4 of those assassins. I nearly died protecting her. Does that sound like someone working with them?" "Perhaps you are simply a good actor." "Then I am the best actor in the universe, because I bled real blood. I felt real pain. I held your princess through real nightmares." The hall went silent. The advisor's eyes narrowed. Another voice spoke, the queen. "Enough, Lord." She rose from her throne and walked toward. Her robes whispered against the golden floor. "I have questions of my own." Lord bowed and stepped back. The queen stopped in front of. This close, he could see the weight she carried, the exhaustion behind her ancient eyes. "My advisors believe you may be a threat," she said. "They see an unknown species, an unknown motive. They see danger." "I understand their caution," said. "If I were in their place, I might feel the same." "But you are not in their place. You are in yours. So tell me, Park, what do you want? What would you ask of us if you could have anything?" It was a strange question. Thought carefully before answering. "I want to know that Lyra is safe, that she will be protected, that what happened on that moon will never happen to her again." "You ask nothing for yourself." "I would like to find if she is alive, I want to find her. But beyond that, I want nothing." The queen tilted her head. "No treasure, no power, no place in our empire." "I do not know your empire. I do not know your treasure. I only know what matters to me. and what matters to me is keeping promises." "What promises?" "I told Lyra I would keep her safe. I told her I would come back. I did both. Now I want to make sure she stays safe, even when I am gone." The queen was silent. The hall was silent. Every watched with silver eyes. "You fascinate me," the queen said finally. "You are small and weak by our standards. You're as a fraction of ours. Your technology is primitive. And yet you did something none of my soldiers could do. You saved my daughter through kindness, through patience, through sacrifice." She looked back at her advisors. "My soldiers found the princess because of his distress beacon. Without it, she would still be lost. The assassins would have found her eventually. She would be dead." Lord spoke carefully. "Your Majesty, the human is still an unknown variable. We cannot simply—" "I am not finished." The old advisor fell silent immediately. The queen turned back to, "I have lived for 900 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched stars die. And in all that time, I have learned one truth that never changes." She leaned closer. Her silver eyes burned into his. "The measure of a being is not their power. It is not their technology or their armies. It is what they do when no one is watching, when there is nothing to gain, when helping is hard and dangerous and thankless." Her voice dropped to a whisper that somehow filled the entire hall. "You are small, Park, but your heart is enormous, and that matters more than anything else." She stepped back and raised her voice. "The council will not condemn this human. He is a guest of the throne. He will be treated with respect and given all he needs. Any who harm him will answer to me personally." Lord looked like he had swallowed something sour, but he bowed. "As you command, Your Majesty." The tension in the hall shifted. Not everyone was happy, but no one dared argue. The queen gestured, and a side door opened. Lyra ran through it like a small purple storm. She crashed into him, wrapping her arms around his waist. "I heard everything. I made them let me listen. You were so brave." He hugged her back. "You should not have worried. I can handle a few questions." "They were mean questions." "They were fair questions. They do not know me. They wanted to protect you." Lyra looked up at him. "But I know you. That should be enough." The queen watched them with an unreadable expression. Something soft lived behind her ancient eyes, something almost like hope. "Come," she said, "both of you. We have much to discuss, and I am tired of speaking in front of crowds." She led them out of the great hall, through corridors of gold and light, to a private chamber filled with soft chairs and warm firelight. For the first time since this all began, felt like he might actually survive. And perhaps, just perhaps, he might find a place to belong. 3 days passed on the throne ship, spent most of them with Lyra. She showed him the gardens that grew under artificial suns. She taught him more of her language. She made him play games he did not understand and laughed when he lost. For those 3 days, he almost forgot that he was a stranger in an alien empire. Almost. On the 4th day, the queen called him to her private chamber. "There is a tradition among my people," she said. She sat in a chair near a window that showed the stars streaming past. "It is called the bond of keeping. When someone saves a royal life, they may be bound to the throne, not as a servant, not as a soldier, as family." Sat across from her confused, "Family." In the eyes of law and tradition, yes. The person becomes part of the royal blood. They are protected by all the power of the empire. They are honored in life and remembered in death. This sounds like a great gift. It is, which is why it has never been offered to an outsider. She leaned forward. Her silver eyes were serious. "I wish to offer it to you, Park, for what you did for my daughter, but there is a problem. Your council does not approve." "No, they do not. Lord has been very clear. He says it would destroy tradition. He says it would weaken the throne. He says many things." "Then perhaps it is not worth the trouble." The queen smiled slightly. "Perhaps, But my daughter has also been very clear. She says if we do not bond you to our family, she will never forgive me. Blinked, she said that. She said many things. Most of them were shouted. She has a strong voice when she is angry. Despite everything, laughed. Yes, she does. The Queen's smile faded. There is a way to satisfy the council, an old way. If you wish to be bonded, you must prove yourself worthy. There is a trial called the Rite of Fires. All who seek to join the royal line must pass it. What kind of trial? It tests endurance, strength, will. It is meant to break the weak and reveal the strong. She paused. It was designed for, no human has ever attempted it. I do not know if you can survive. Was quiet for a moment. He thought about Lyra. He thought about her arms around him in the dark cave, her voice saying his name, her trust so pure and complete. What happens if I refuse? He asked. You will be treated well. You will be returned to your people when we can arrange it. You will be honored as a friend of the throne. The Queen met his eyes. But the bond will not be made, and in time, as years pass and memories fade, you will become a story, nothing more. And Lyra? She will grieve, she will heal. Children are resilient. Shook his head. She lost her brothers and sisters. She thought she was going to die alone on that moon. She found someone who made her feel safe, and you want to take that away. I want nothing of the kind, but the council. Then let me take the trial. The words came out before he could stop them. The Queen's eyes widened slightly. You understand what you are saying. You could die. I understand, stood up. I have already almost died for her twice. A third time changes nothing. If this is what it takes to stay with her, to protect her, then I will do it. The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Very well. The Rite of Fires will begin tomorrow. The arena was massive. It occupied an entire deck of the ship, filled with obstacles and hazards that shifted and changed. Thousands watched from the stands above. Lord sat near the Queen, his face satisfied. He expected to fail. Stood at the entrance wearing simple training clothes. His body was healed, but he was still human, still small, still weak by standards. Lyra had come to see him before the trial. Her eyes were red from crying. You do not have to do this, she whispered. I will talk to Mother. I will make her understand. You already did, said. This is my choice, not because I have to, because I want to. But what if you die? He knelt in front of her and took her small hands in his. Then I die trying, and you will remember that someone thought you were worth dying for. That is not nothing, Lyra. That is everything. She hugged him so tight he could barely breathe. Then she let go and stepped back, trying to be brave. Win, she said. Please win. I will try. The first stage was fire. Literal fire. Pillars of flame erupted from the floor in random patterns. Had to cross the arena without being burned. Skin was resistant to heat. Human skin was not. He watched the pattern, he timed his movements, he ran. Fire licked at his arms, he felt his skin blister. He did not stop. He dove and rolled and sprinted through gaps that lasted only seconds. His lungs burned, his eyes watered from smoke. He reached the other side, barely. The second stage was cold. The temperature dropped so fast that frost formed on his eyebrows. Could survive extreme cold. Humans could not. Kept moving. He knew that stopping meant death. He ran through the frozen maze, his breath coming in white clouds. His fingers went numb. His lips turned blue. He reached the other side, barely. The third stage was pressure. The gravity increased until every step felt like carrying a mountain. His knees buckled. His spine compressed. He could feel his bones grinding together. He crawled. When crawling was too hard, he dragged himself forward with his fingers. 1 meter, 2, 10. He reached the other side, barely. The crowd was silent now. They had expected him to fail in the first stage. They had expected a quick death. Instead, they watched this small, fragile creature drag himself through challenges that tested their strongest warriors. The fourth stage was combat, a training drone designed to fight at level. Could not match its speed, he could not match its strength, but he could think. He used the environment, he lured the drone into hazards, he made it overextend. He waited for the perfect moment. When the drone lunged, he dropped flat. Its blade passed over him. He grabbed its leg and pulled with everything he had. It fell. He was on it instantly, smashing its core with a broken piece of metal. The drone went dark. The fifth stage was will, a chamber that attacked the mind. Fears made real, memories turned to nightmares. Saw his sister, dying again, reaching for him, blaming him. He saw Lyra, dead on that moon, his fault. He saw himself, alone and forgotten, drifting through empty space forever. He closed his eyes, he breathed. He remembered Lyra's hand in his, her voice saying his name, her trust. "You are not real," he said to the nightmares. "You are not real." He walked through them. They screamed and clawed and begged. He did not stop. He reached the other side. When he emerged from the final chamber, his body gave out. He collapsed on the arena floor, unable to move. Everything hurt. Everything was broken. But he had finished. The arena was silent for one heartbeat, 2, 3. Then a small voice cut through the silence. "DOHUN." Lyra ran across the arena. She dropped beside him and grabbed his hand. "You did it," she said, tears streaming down her face. "You did it." Behind her, slower but no less determined, came the queen. She knelt beside him, her robes pooling on the floor. "No outsider has ever completed the rite," she said softly. "Many have failed. You should not have survived." Tried to smile, it came out as a grimace. "I promised, I keep my promises." The queen looked at Lord in the stands. The old advisor's face was pale with shock. "The human has passed the rite of fires," she announced. Her voice carried to every corner of the arena. "By law and tradition, he is worthy. The bond of keeping will be performed." The crowd erupted, not all cheers. Many were confused, angry, uncertain, but it did not matter. Had proven himself. And nothing would take that away. The ceremony took place in the heart of the throne ship, in a chamber that had existed since the Empire's founding. Ancient stones floated in a circle, carved with words older than most civilizations. Light filtered through crystal walls, painting everything in soft gold. Stood in the center. His wounds had been treated, though some would leave scars forever. He wore robes of deep blue, the color of honored guests. His heart beat steady and calm. Around him stood the highest members of society. Lord was there, his face still sour but resigned. Other council members watched with curiosity, suspicion, or quiet respect. Thousands more observed through screens throughout the fleet. The queen entered last. She wore ceremonial armor, ancient and beautiful. A crown of living light circled her head. She moved with the weight of centuries, each step deliberate and powerful. Lyra walked beside her mother. The princess wore white, her hair braided with small flowers that glowed faintly. She looked at and smiled. He smiled back. The queen stopped before him. The floating stones hummed with energy. "Park of Earth," she said. Her voice filled the chamber like music. "You have passed the rite of fires. You have proven your worth to the throne. You have saved the blood of my blood. Today we honor that debt." She raised her hand. Light gathered around her fingers. "By the authority of 10,000 years, by the will of all who came before, by the love of a daughter for her protector, I invoke the bond of keeping." The light shot from her hand and struck in the chest. It did not hurt. It felt warm, like sunlight on a cold morning, like coming home after a long journey. "From this day forward you are bound to the royal line. You are shield and sword and shelter. You are family in all ways that matter. When you speak, the throne listens. When you act, the empire moves. When you fall, 1,000 will rise to catch you." The queen stepped closer, her silver eyes softened. And when you die, as all beings must, you will be remembered. Your name will be carved in the stones of our. Your story will be told for 10,000 more years. This is my promise. This is our bond. She touched his forehead gently. Rise, Park, rise as Lyra's shield. Rise as son of the throne. Rise as one of us. The light faded. The chamber was silent. Straightened, he felt different, not stronger or faster, but connected, like a thread had been woven between him and everyone in this room, like he belonged. Thank you, he said. His voice was rough with emotion. I will honor this gift. I will protect this family. I will not fail. The queen nodded. Then she did something unexpected. She embraced him. It was brief, formal, proper, but it was real, and when she stepped back there were tears in her ancient eyes. I have lost much, she whispered, too quiet for others to hear. Children, hope, faith in the universe, but you have given something back. You have reminded me that kindness still exists, even in the darkest places. Before he could respond, Lyra crashed into him. Brother, she shouted, the word echoed through the chamber. You are my brother now. The crowd gasped. Brother was not technically correct. The bond made him family, but not that specific kind. But Lyra did not care about technicalities. She never had. Laughed and hugged her back. I suppose I am. You have to stay forever now. You promised. Mother made you promise with magic. I do not think that was magic. It was definitely magic. I saw the light. The queen smiled at their argument. It was a real smile, wide and warm. The court watched in amazement. Most had never seen their queen smile like that. The celebration lasted for hours. Food could not pronounce, music that made his bones vibrate, dancing that looked more like flying. He stood at the edge, overwhelmed but happy. Late in the night, the queen found him alone on a balcony overlooking the stars. You are not celebrating, she observed. I am thinking. Dangerous habit. He smiled slightly. I am thinking about Earth, about my people, about everything I left behind. The queen stood beside him, watching the stars stream past. Do you regret your choice? No, he shook his head. But I do wonder. She might be alive somewhere, lost like I was. I cannot abandon her. You mentioned her before, during the trial. She was my friend, my partner. We survived many things together. He paused. If there is any chance she lives, I have to find her. The queen was silent for a long moment. The empire spans 1,000 systems, she said finally. We have ships in every corner of known space. If your friend is alive, we can find her. Turn to look at her. You would do that for me. You are family now. Your concerns are our concerns. Your losses are our losses. She met his eyes. Ask and it will be done. Then I am asking, please help me find. Consider it ordered. Relief flooded through him. He had hoped, but hope was fragile. Having a promise from the queen herself was something stronger. Thank you, he said, for everything, not just the search, for accepting me, for giving me a place to belong. The queen looked back at the stars. I should thank you, she said quietly. My daughter laughs again. My council respects a human. My empire has a new story to tell, one of hope instead of fear. You have changed us, Park, more than you know. They stood together in comfortable silence. After a while, small footsteps approached. Lyra appeared, yawning and rubbing her eyes. Why are you both out here? She complained. The celebration is inside. There is cake. You are missing the cake. The queen raised an eyebrow. You have already had 3 pieces of cake. That is not important. Knelt in front of her. She was tired, he could see, fighting to stay awake because she did not want to miss anything. Come on, he said, I will carry you. She climbed onto his back without argument, wrapping her arms around his neck. She mumbled as he stood. Yes. You are home now, you know that, right? This is your home. He looked at the stars. He thought about Earth so far away. He thought about lost somewhere in the vastness. He thought about everything he had survived to reach this moment. Then he felt Lyra's weight on his back, her breath warm against his neck, her trust absolute and unshaken. "Yes," he said softly, "I know." The Queen watched them with something like wonder. This small human carrying her daughter, this stranger who had become family. This moment simple and perfect. "Come," she said, "both of you. There is cake to eat and stories to share, and tomorrow we begin the search for your friend." They walked back inside together. The celebration welcomed them. Music played, lights danced. Lyra fell asleep on shoulder. Somewhere far away, in a labor camp on a forgotten world, a woman named looked up at the night sky. She had heard rumors, whispers of a human who walked among alien royalty, a story so strange it could not possibly be true. She did not believe the rumors. Not yet. But somewhere in her tired heart, a small flame of hope flickered to life. The same hope that had kept her alive through all these months. The same hope that whispered maybe, just maybe, the universe was not as cruel as it seemed. She held onto that hope. And across the stars, without knowing it, held onto it too. Their story was not over. It was just beginning.